Now it's time for our energy update with Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy.
Well, thank you, Nima. We're getting past this midway point in summer, and it looks like, as predicted, we're going to continue to see prices at the pumps rise as they have been for the past several weeks. And all of this really is related to oil. Oil prices continue to suffer and be subject to more and more interest. This time last week, oil was trading in the upper 70s, low 80s. Now, of course, picked up about a dollar a barrel this week alone. We're still seeing some traders, energy markets, looking for other excuses not to respond to what is absolutely the fundamentals of oil. And that's that the Energy Information Agency, OPEC, even the Energy Information Agency, International Energy Agency has had to admit that they've got their projections and their prognosis for demand spectacularly wrong. Any thought of peak demand for whatever reason, green fantasies or otherwise, has been completely obliterated. And not only are we going to see 100 million barrels of oil used every day, it's actually going to go to about 103 million barrels. And by 2024, estimates are 104.5 million barrels a day. Put that in perspective, it means the skew or the error by those out there who make decisions that markets abide by got it wrong by 3%. Not only is OPEC upset, but Saudi Arabia, which called energy markets dysfunctional, has decided to underscore the fact that the markets are no longer obeying the dictates of supply and demand. They've cut an additional million barrels, and that's really why we're seeing not only weakness in supply, but it's not corresponding to demand. And of course, Saudi Arabia is taking advantage of, as is our other countries, of what looks like a move from $80 to $90 a barrel for West Texas Intermediate and about 3 to 4 barrels more for Brent. What does this mean? Well, in places like British Columbia, the new averages of about $1.75 a litre in the interior central BC will probably go up about 2 cents a litre. For Vancouver, they've seen prices range between 204.9 and 207.9. Look for that number to remain, possibly moving to 208 or even 209 by the end of next week. Alberta, well, they've seen prices increase as well. So we're now starting to see Calgary holding on to about $1.50 a litre. Edmonton, always a couple pennies less. But look for those prices to remain where they are, possibly go up by 2 cents a litre. Saskatchewan and Manitoba, both in the 166, 167 range. Expect those numbers to pretty much stay. As we know, gasoline stations don't tend to respond as quickly as other regions, larger communities, larger cities, to increases in prices. So they may hold on for another week or two, but inevitably they will have to throw the towel in. Prairies will likely see prices move above $1.70 by the final week of August. As for Ontario, well, it's been one of those things where we started off the week at 170, dropped to 166.9, now back to 172, dropping back to 171. You're likely to see that number remain, but I sense that by the end of next week, we could be looking at $1.75 for a litre of gasoline. That would mean, of course, that in Quebec, you'd be looking at $1.87. And the Maritimes, where both carbon taxes, the first one at 14.31 cents a litre, and the second one, the so-called clean fuel regulation, call it what it is, another tax by just another name, is adding, immeasurably to the cost of living. If you look at Nova Scotia, very interesting, they were paying under $1.50 for a litre of gasoline when places like Ontario were paying $1.55. They're now at $1.86. And so while gasoline is the big story and that massive increase of 40 plus cents a litre or within that range is significant, what I think has many observers very nervous, Nima, is what we're looking at over the next several weeks. We have never seen diesel inventories this low. And we're heading into what is now the shoulder season, where refiners have to begin to concentrate on producing other products like that are derived from diesel, including home heating fuel, jet fuel important. We've seen the number of passengers flying now increasing back to levels pre-COVID. All this means that gasoline and diesel prices, rather than dropping, along with oil, are going to continue to rise. And that means that over the past several months, where we've seen markets try to push down the price, the Biden administration manipulating the Strategic Petroleum Reserve as a price control lever, all those things, and they have to buy that oil back, all 200 million barrels. We think oil is going to be heading up another $10 a barrel. With it, over the next several weeks, look for an average of about a 10-cent increase from what you're paying today. That's it for this week, Nima. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, and that was Dan McTeague, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy.